I look at AJ and there's two things that always defined AJ, and the first was leadership, and the second thing that always defined him was effort. And you know, everything that he did was 100%, and it's neat to see where he's at now and see that he's getting to do something that very few people get to do, let alone coming from our small town.
He has this natural ability to pick up different plays, to see different schemes. That goes a long way. In the NFL, yes, it's physical, yes, it's a big man sport, but all in all, you gotta have the mental mindset.
You know, AJ's got this natural tenacity that you look for in an offensive lineman. If I had my guess, which is my guess, that come May he's going to be drafted. He's going to be on a 53-man roster, and he's going to be playing in the NFL for 5-10 years.
Right now, there's no option to fail. I need to get where I need to be, and I'm going to do everything I can to be there.
Carrollton, Ohio, a small town of about 3,000 residents located in rural east central Ohio, a community known more for farming and home-style country living. It is here that AJ Dalton, a 2010 graduate of Carrollton High School, is seeking to become only the second player in school history, the first in 40 years, to play professional football in the NFL. This is a story of determination, self-will, and faith that paved the way for his journey from small-town Friday night lights to the brink of the biggest football stage in the world.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1. All day, AD all day.
Growing up in Carrollton was a good gauge of character. There's a lot of people there that make an honest living. I feel a lot of people that live in town there don't make as much as they should. They work hard. Blue-collar town. Any adjective that you can think of a come to work early person and leave late would definitely fit the quote for Carrollton. My father, Aaron Sr., he was tough. He definitely showed tough love part towards me. He never gave me anything. He made sure I worked for it. There was times I hated him for it because, you know, I felt like I deserved it. I was entitled. But he was just showing me that there's nothing in this life that is entitled or anything that you can deserve that you don't work for. My mother, Claudia, she was the spiritual compassion type. She really helped me get close to the Lord by telling me how much I needed him. She also showed me how to be charismatic towards other people, and that really helped me grow into a leader, not just seeing my point of view, but seeing everyone's point of view.
AJ was a great football player in high school, and you know, he was tough. He was always tough. You know, we brought him up as a freshman. He got to play his freshman year, and you know, from the time that kid came up through, and again, you know, I go back to the leadership, and I go back to the intangibles that you see in him today as a man, and you saw it all the way coming up through. You know, he was, to me, being a good player that's important, but to me it was the young man that he was and the leader that he was for our program. He was one of those kids that you get to coach every once in a while. You don't get to coach a kid like that every year, and those special ones kind of stick with you, and he was a special player and a special young man.
There's a lot of experiences I had in high school football. I'll say collectively, the friends that I made and the coaches that I had definitely made an impact on where I am today.
There was a practice his sophomore year, and AJ was our starting left tackle, and he was still trying to figure out maybe how to be aggressive. You know, he had all the size, he had all those things, but he was still trying to figure out maybe how to use that size and the power that God had given him. And then there was a certain play that the defensive player beat him and came in and they made a tackle, and AJ kind of got up and I just lost it on him. I just started screaming at him. I said, you know, how can a guy this big let somebody beat them? You should be beating everybody. And I just really got on him. And at the time, I didn't realize what I was doing to the young man that was playing defense, but we reloaded the play. We did it again. And I had just struck a nerve with AJ. And when the ball snapped, AJ literally hit this kid and drove him about 3 yards back, and his feet, I don't think, ever touched the floor, ever touched the ground. And he just lifted him up and he drove him into the ground. And that was the moment where, first of all, I apologized to the young man that I yelled at him for that, but that was the moment we realized that, man, this kid is special, you know, and he's got something special going on, and if he can harness this like he learned to do, he's going to do special things.
My senior year, when I finished up, I was third team All-Ohio. I was the 9th best tackle in the state of Ohio. My position coach at the time, former NFL center for the Vikings, Kirk Loudermilk, told me if I work hard and I do well in college, he said, I have a good chance to play on Sundays. That's when I really started to realize that it might be real, but at that point it was still a long shot.
Upon graduating from high school, AJ signed his letter of intent to play football for legendary coach Joe Walton at Robert Morris University, a small FCS school in a suburb of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. In
college, Coach Walton, he was a legendary coach for the Jets, offensive coordinator for the Steelers. He taught us a lot of things out of Vince Lombardi's book. The one thing that will stick with me always is the harder you work for something, the harder it is to surrender. If you put, you know, X amount of hours and time and dedication and sweat and tears into something, you're probably not going to give up on it near as hard as if you would just spend just a half hour on something. And you know, winning demands singleness of purpose. Everyone's got to have one goal and one mission, and if you don't, then it's going to be clustered and you're not going to accomplish your goal.
No days off. No days off.
My childhood dream was always to play in the NFL. It sounds pretty cliche, but it was. You know, I loved watching football on Sundays, Saturdays, Fridays, any chance I could get to watch men compete on the grid. Just made me fall in love with the game that much more. During his collegiate career, AJ earned numerous awards for his performance on the field, including the Offensive MVP Award at Robert Morris and being named a second-team All-American his senior season. Late in December of 2013, AJ signed with Calvary Sports Management, a small but up-and-coming sports agency based in Auburn, Alabama.
First contact I made with AJ was late, mid-December. I mean, very late in the process. Like I said, the Lord really didn't let us earn anything for some reason. And AJ was another example of that. He'd already been talking to agents, but my trainer, Cat Farring, KPS, called me and said, hey, you need to talk to this kid. And that's really where it started. My first impression of AJ was very intelligent, one of the most organized kids I've talked to. He had all his ducks in a row. He knew the right questions to ask. He'd done his homework, and then some.
Our business partnership and friendship are very unique. He's not like other agents where it's a business-only atmosphere. He really brings myself and the other guys that he represents into his home and treats us like family. He offers us spiritual reassurance through God's message. Calvary Sports is a Christian-based company, and he does anything. He goes above and beyond what most agents would for their clients.
As I continue to talk to AJ and contact him throughout the process, the things that stuck out again is he's very intelligent. His genuineness. You know, AJ is who AJ is. I don't think he changes that for anybody in the world. Very honest. You can tell he's a very loyal person. And he was looking for the right things in an agency. And he can see smoke and mirrors from a mile away. And so that was the kind of player we were looking for. To maximize his performance and skill level leading up to the draft, AJ chose to train in an intense,
8-week program with several other NFL prospects at Kinetic Prototype Sports, a high-performance sports training facility located in Sewanee, Georgia.
My name is Kev Herring, founder of Kinetic Prototype Sports, located in Sewanee, Georgia. What we do for NFL athletes that are preparing for combine and draft, we do a lot of overspeed training, a lot of resistance training in our sand pit, which hits different muscle fibers that you can't get on turf or water or with certain bands. We create a lot of different bands, such as the spider bands, the K bands. We focus on a lot of the hip flexors, a lot of the lower core, and definitely hitting the quads. That's main keys of speed. We also develop different biceps in the hamstrings and different strengths to build that core, that lower strength that we need to get that athlete faster and more explosive.
You got an inch off? Day 2.
Woo! Yes, sir. Let's go. You want these?
Well, when AJ Dalton was said to me when I first actually saw him, not just on film, but when I actually saw him in person, very strong guy. He shook my hand, felt like he cracked my left hand, and I shook it with my right hand, because when I shook it with my right hand, I felt pain in my left pinky. I'm like, wow, this guy is strong. That's the first thing I definitely saw out of AJ. Very smart kid, very intelligent, good diction, knows his stuff. But physical, upper body strength times 10. Just the other day, he had 33 reps on the bench press at 225. So that's pretty impressive for someone who's only been with us for 6 weeks.
When I got here, I was 283 pounds. Sitting in this chair right now, I'm 308. He's got my weight, like I just said, where it needs to be. My times are within the top 5 in the country right now, which will only help my draft stock. And he also prepares us mentally for interviews and talking with teams in the future. We never do the same thing 2 days in a row. Every day is always a challenge at KPS.
I'll take that for the day. Yeah, take it for the day.
Very good. I don't like that. That's good. That's good. That's good. You ain't very sweat, man.
Good, babe.
Go. Let's go! Pro day grind. Gotta love it.
Well, what AJ has proved on from day 1 to now day 40, he had very, very bad hips, very tight hips. And there's 2 bands that we use, a spider band, a K band, that develops hip flexors, strengthening the hips, getting them more flexible. He'll tell you stories as far as water ball, and we called it the Boosie ball, that develops certain hip flexors and flexibility in his hips. As an offensive lineman, that's one thing that he has to have, his hips. Has to be able to sit into his stance and actually kickstand back to actually protect his quarterback. So that'd be the #1 thing I would definitely say. Hey, his hips gotten tremendously better.
The hardest part about the daily grind is getting out of bed every day and telling yourself that you need to get better in some way. Sometimes guys say, hey, I'm gonna go to the gym and I'm gonna do just what I need to do to get in and get out, and you're not doing yourself any favors by coming in and going through the motions. So to be able to get up when you're sore and you can barely get yourself out of bed and still get something out of the day is very, very worthwhile. There's a lot of challenges that I've faced, but the main one I feel is I've always been underrated. I went to a small high school. We weren't necessarily spectacular in terms of our record. And then going to Robert Morris, a 1AA college, everybody didn't feel as that I would do that well, or maybe I would do so well only because it's a small school. And when I finished my senior year being second-team All-American in the FCS, not just my conference, really turned a lot of heads, and I feel like that was a big turning point where people realized, like, okay, this kid's top 10 player in the country. He's got what it takes to get to the next level. I don't want to live my life with regrets. I'd rather disappoint somebody than live with my regret, you know what I mean? And so I've always just done the best I can and let the chips fall at the end of the day and see where I go. My first motivation comes from God, obviously. He's the one that gives me the power. He created me, gave me all these tools, and opened these opportunities for me. So I thank Him every morning. Secondly, I thank the people that have got me here that don't have the opportunities that I have. You know, I'm here doing something special with special people, and I really enjoy that. I want to, you know, make the most of it. And thirdly, NFL players make a lot of money, and this has been my dream, and this is what I take as my job, so that's why it's not as hard for me to get motivated, because this is my job, and eventually I want to reach that big paycheck. A lot of guys that play football, they know that the opportunity they have is great. They know that the thing that they're doing right now is bigger than themselves. They're not just putting food on the table for themselves. They're doing it for their families, you know, their children. And we couldn't do those things if it wasn't for God. The advice that I wish I had gotten when I was younger is just pray. I know young minds don't always understand everything, and you know, we're not always meant to understand everything, but pray and read the Bible. I mean, there's just so many parables that you can take out of there that you can apply to your life, and you know, you can get there's three phases: your mind, body, and your soul. And if your body's right, you know, your mind's right, your soul's not right, that's going to throw you off, and you're not going to perform the best you can, you know, vice versa with any of the three.
I think AJ is going to be successful in whatever he does because of that natural tenacity, and he's not going to quit. He's going to be successful. If he puts his mind to something, AJ is the type of person that he's going to accomplish it.
I judge success by a person's ability to keep going. That sounds very vague, but many people don't realize that they only fail when they stop trying. You can have success in anything, as long, you know, it just depends to what degree of success you have. And I never want to get to that point in my life where I'm failing at things and I'm not giving it my all. We're going to fail sometime in your life, and it's just human nature. It happens to all of us. But can you get back up and be successful? That's the success of it, getting back up off the ground.
You know, AJ's success for our community, to me, the biggest thing is it shows some of these young men that it can be done here. You know, what he's, you know, if you work hard and you take the talents that God has given you and you have a passion to do it, that you can accomplish so many things, and to have an example like AJ with the kind of character that he brings to it and go do the things that he does. And to me, the other part of him having the success in Carrollton is he's a Carrollton boy. I mean, he wants to come back here, you know, during breaks, and he wants to come back here and work out with our players. He wants to help coach our players up. He wants to have an impact on this town. And he believes with all of his might that you know, this can be done here. He's not the exception to the rule, but it's going to take something special. And so, to me, for our community and for our town, first of all, we couldn't be prouder to have AJ doing what he's doing. And the next thing is I'm excited for our young players to have a role model like him to look up to see that if I want it bad enough, maybe I could go get it, just like AJ did.
What would you like to achieve in your life? Let's take football out of the picture. What would that thing be?
Just influence young men that they don't have to take negative roads in their life, that they're positive role models, and that being a good person and having character, treating others fairly, having a good work ethic and loving God can be some of the most great tools that you can have in your life besides athletics. And if you have those, you can have a successful life, and that sports isn't everything, but it can be a great catalyst in getting you the life that you want. Finished my pro day today at California University of Pennsylvania, great university. Had a great day today, tested well. Got to meet a lot of great people, had a great opportunity. This is the first stepping stone of my journey. We got 2 more stops. We're going to make it happen.